The Torah says that Hashem has a hand, but isn't this just a metaphor? The Torah also says that Hashem loves us, but how can he have an imperfect human emotion? And what has this got to do with our relationship with him? In this video series, my goal is to release your mind and soul to be able to freely think about Hashem in the way the Torah talks about him. Firstly, it's time to recap, and then we're going to deal with one last issue that goes beyond everything that we've known so far, Hashem's highest Atzmus. With everything that we've discussed in previous episodes, we've now resolved all of our theological issues. For example, there is no comparison between us and him in the extreme, and we solved this problem by introducing the idea of metaphor and nimshal, Mashal and nimshal, with many high-caliber sources. 2, none of Hashem's dynamic actions imply any change in him, so that solves the unchangeability problem, because he's always being authentic, and every expression is a revelation of his essential, unchanging, single, unified will. As we've already seen, the Tzimtzum doesn't create anything new, it simply allows that same unchanging will to unfold in myriad worlds, sphirot, souls, and expressions. 3, none of this implies any composition in him. Once we properly understand the deep wisdom and secrets of essence and expression, essence is always one, and all the deep theology applies, even as he acts and expresses himself as he sees fit. And finally, his perfection, which we have defined as meaning that he is kol yachol, he can do anything on his own without any help, complete in his essence, and it also means that he expresses his perfection, meaning his expressions themselves are always flawless and perfect, without any deficiency or bad character or action whatsoever. With all this, there is nothing at all that implies that it's naive, childish, or in any way beneath him, not to mention theologically problematic, to say that he feels for us, is in a relationship with us, cares about us and our actions, that what we do touches and affects his unchanging essence, that the whole truth of his being is that he wants and needs us. This explanation is all there in our sources and explained by the Hasidus, and hopefully now we all understand it too. And I'll leave it to you, but through subtle and clear understanding, we can now see how this all neatly fits into most opinions of Torah Temet and answers all theological issues. But there is one point left, a very subtle point about an even higher level of Atzmus. I was actually recently asked by somebody what it means that all of this talk about Atzmus is really just referring to what he called Atzmus Ein Sof. But that is not actually the ultimate true and final level of Atzmus. So here's my answer. Firstly, I want to point out something. This isn't necessarily something that's universally agreed. I'll tell you what my own Rav of Hasidus, who's a very big, probably the biggest, according to people I've spoken to, Bal Hasidus in Manchester, says, whenever we learn and Atzmus comes up, I often raise this point with him. And he often tells me that what we're learning about right now is the highest. Whether it's Atzmus Ein Sof, Atzmus or Ein Sof. Let me tell you what he's getting at. Yes, in some contexts, Hasidus says Atzmus Ein Sof is not the highest level. But that doesn't mean that every single time the Rebbeim use that term, or even like I said, the term Atzmus or Ein Sof, which is supposedly even lower still, are not referring to the highest real level. Remember, Hasidus is a philosophical branch of Torah Lamdus, and philosophy isn't always mathematically logical. I know it has a branch called mathematical logic, but very often terms are used in multiple ways, and sometimes even a bit poetically, because not every treatise is a technical manual. Often the goal of the teaching is to convey and help the student understand a complicated idea. That's the goal, and thus using the terminology for Atzmus in a technical way isn't required. In fact, it will use the terminology loosely because it depends what the focus is. This is something I initially struggled with myself. When I first encountered Torah's teachings, the deepest Torah teachings, I thought they should be even more rigorous than mathematics, especially when the same terms are used in different ways and you understand, like, how does that all make sense? I struggle with that a lot. But eventually I realized what it is all about and I got comfortable with it. And also I want to point out that when it comes to Atzmus, using it loosely isn't just being frivolous or irresponsible. There's a reason for it. The theology of Atzmus itself applies in the same way to every level of Atzmus, once you're talking about Atzmus. Once you're talking about Atzmus, you're talking about Atzmus, right? When you're discussing the differences between these extremely high levels of Atzmus, right? It's usually because you're trying to bring a very, very specific discussion on a very subtle point, on a topic that's beyond words anyway, right? So, anyway, I don't want to dwell on this point. I just want to point it out because I feel many people are intimidated when they hear this, and it causes them to still have difficulty letting go of the notion that Hashem is connected to us at the very top, and all the issues we're discussing here. So, let's continue by assuming that Atzmus Ein Sof is not the highest level, and there is an even higher level where even names and pronouns are inapplicable, and any discussion at all is impossible. I did touch on this briefly in my Lag BaOmer video, and I do plan to also make a more in-depth video about it. The level in question is referred to in the Zohar as Ilat al Kol Ilot, the cause above all causes. It is the highest madrega of Hashem, utterly beyond, completely non-relational, and completely out of reach. It is beyond names, beyond the word even you. We can't say you to him on that level, apparently. Beyond any concept at all. Beyond even the Or Ein Sof, and beyond even the Atzmus Ein Sof, which itself is already in some way relevant to Giloi, in some way related to the structured chain of cause and effect that we've been describing until now. Hence the name cause above all causes, as opposed to the cause of all causes, which is sometimes applied to Ein Sof. Well, with everything we've been saying so far, we can actually begin to understand even this. Let's break it into 2 points, and leave the fuller discussion for another time. First, remember, when we try to ask what essence is, we've already gone wrong. That's not the kind of question you can ask about essence. It truly is ineffable, utterly beyond definition, as we've already shown above. In fact, we can take this even further. There's a strong argument to say that even using the word you, me, self, or even essence is already the beginning of revelation and relationship. It's already a step away from pure essence. Hasidus gives a beautiful mashal for this. You existed before you had a name. Being given a name changed nothing about who you are at all. Nothing at all. You were still you. You, once upon a time, didn't even know how to say the word I when referring to yourself, but you still fully existed as you are, fully and completely. So think about that deeply. You have a part of you that is also out of reach in a similar way. In fact, this is the deepest and truest you, totally beyond what? Just your very self, beyond any relation, any words, anything. And this is therefore a philosophical statement about essence, and true, of course, about Hashem, in a wondrous, exalted way, but is again not meant to detract from his personhood, as we will see. Now, let's deal with the second point. If this level of essence is truly that disconnected, that utterly beyond any form of existence we know, then how can actions arise from it? Surprisingly, the answer is actually easy to understand, although it's hard to explain, and harder still to say briefly. But this is a short video, so I'll do my best to explain it like this. Imagine I'm driving my wife to work. I'm driving her. I'm doing it because I desire to please her. My ratzon, my will, that's the real reason that we are sitting in the car together driving to work. However, when you look at the car, going down the road, with me and her in it, all you see is atoms. You see a vehicle, you see energy, you see bodies in a car, a steering wheel, you see stuff, you see movement, you see me taking her to work. What you don't see is my ratzon. But the truth is, my ratzon is the true reality of what's going on. The ultimate source that is the real root and cause, above all causes, of the ultimate reality of the entire picture, much more deep than what meets the eye. But ratzon is not part of the cause and effect of the world, right? There's no ratzon particle that creates a momentum in the world. This happens in some mysterious way. That ratzon, a purely spiritual makif, eventually becomes me driving my wife to work. There's a disconnect. There's no relationship between ratzon and physical matter. Matter has no way to touch ratzon, or feel it or grasp it. Nonetheless, the ratzon is the real source and cause above all the causes that are going on inside that car. And that's what we mean by there being an utter disconnect between Hashem and us. It doesn't mean chas v'shalom that he doesn't care, that he's disconnected, that he doesn't know about the world or anything like that, like the world means literally nothing to him, chas v'shalom. Chabad sources describe Ratzon HaElyon as the ultimate mover of all that happens, acting from above, rather than through the normal chain of cause and effect that is in the spiritual and the physical world. God's will is utterly transcendent, completely above understanding. Hashem's will is the true source of creation, but it's not in the same frame of existence. And indeed, his highest essence, the one we're talking about, is the true source of his will in exactly the same way, even though his essence and will are not in the same frame of existence, so to speak, either. There is no relation between them at all. Yet, as we learned above, they can still be described as identical. It means that we cannot fathom our connection to him, and really we can't say that there is an actual cause and effect style of connection between us and him. Still, that does not mean what you might think it means, i.e. that we are not in a relationship with him himself, and I hope that's clear now. This is why, even by ilat al kol ha'ilot, the Zohar says he judges you, and the pasuk that proves this is, "Who can rescue from my hand?" Indeed, once you truly understand what all of this means, you can even say something astonishing, that Hashem's ultimate, highest essence, he himself in his absolute oneness, has a hand. When you know what that really means, and if you've been following closely and thinking deeply, then you do, you'll see that this is not a contradiction to his oneness. It's not a paradox, and it's not even an approximation. It's simply the truth. He who is one truly has a hand. He is not composite. His hand is an expression, not him himself, but that does not mean it's not a real hand. It's the deepest truth of all. In the next episode, we're going to return to where we began, the question of whether Hashem truly feels, cares, and relates. And now, after all the theology, all the Kabbalah and Chassidus, we can say the answer. Not only does Hashem have a hand, not only does he love, it's the deepest, truest thing there is. And the Torah didn't exaggerate when it said so. And you can speak and think freely like the Torah speaks and encourages you to think. Stay tuned.